and welcome to another episode of On Fire here on Daily Mirror Online. I'm Easwaran Rutnam. Our guest today is the former Director General of the Institute of National Security Studies of Sri Lanka, Asanga Abeyagoonasekera. Asanga, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So Asanga, let me start off by just going back before we actually get into the main issue and the reason that we have you on the program. Let's just go back to your entry into where you were and where you are today. You are the son of Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, a former politician. How was it like? I mean, your father was of course killed during an attack by the LTTE. How was it like? I mean, were you how old were you actually when this incident happened, and what were your thoughts back then?
I was 16 years old is when it happened. So I was doing my O levels at that time. It was a difficult time that we went through. I'm the only child of the family, and he's someone who was very close to me, and basically interacted every day, as well as somebody that I miss a lot. I mean, even now. So when I was 16 years old.
And I guess you were shaken when this happened. Did this sort of lead you to an extent to where you were a few years back, where you got involved with defense-related matters?
My father, he's always been what have been basically his values have been to always serve his one's country, and that has been there in me. Even when I got residence in another country, I wanted to come back to Sri Lanka and serve my own country. I think that value remained in me, and it's still there to serve its own country. And he's a politician who actually fought, his entire life on democratic values and to keep the people, to bring it. He's looking for a political transformation. I mean, all his life, he was not a parliamentarian. He was not. I mean, only in the last stages of his life, both he and his friend, his best friend was Vijay Kumaratunga, as you know. So they didn't hold any titles. They lost all the elections in their political life because they were fighting with, autocratic and strong leaders in the country. They're trying to create a third force, but things didn't go that way. Many of his friends died. 113 members of his political party were assassinated. So finally, this is how it all ended, unfortunately. But they had a beautiful vision, actually, when you read it. That third force that they try to create. So I still, his writings, his work has been appreciated. Many, even journalists still has spoken, referring to his notes in his diary. Some of them knew him very personally. Some of them, obviously politicians have critiques as well as, so that's how they are. So, but for me, I think he's a very brave as well as a person who fought for democratic values.
Did you at any point, Asanga, think after this incident especially, and considering your father's involvement in politics, was that something that you looked at or you were interested in at any point, getting into politics?
Yes, I am. Every time I've been offered, to serve my country, so I have always taken the challenge. whatever the position that was, offered, I have taken up, to serve a larger community, the public. When it came to the election in 2015, so I was called by the United National Party, and so I signed the nominations. I was the last to sign from Gampaha district. So I always came forward, and so so I think that's the one should. That's something that I have. I believe it's coming from my father. So I always come forward and volunteer, as well as in the work that I do in the government institutions. So I think that I'm actually serving a larger general public, as well as I'm happy of doing that.
How did your involvement come about with the Institute on Security Studies? I mean, with the Defense Ministry, which is, the institute is affiliated with the Defense Ministry, right? How did this involvement come about?
We did not have an institute back then, Easwaran. Before this was the first time we created this institute called Institute of National Security Studies. The idea behind in 2016 of creating this institute, the Secretary of Defense back then, Karunasena Hettiarachchi, called myself and Rohan Gunaratna to the Ministry of Defense. Now, there was a paper which I wrote some time back when I was at Kadirigam Institute, the importance of having defense research, security research. So that's something that he pulled out, Karunasena Hettiarachchi, and he's called both of us and asked for a presentation, which Rohan and myself spoke at that time. So we mentioned about the importance of national security, such as India and many other countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They have institutes of national security. So I wanted to. The idea was the Kadirigam Institute focus on foreign policy research, and this sort of institute focus on defense and security research. Because earlier we used to host large defense gathering at Kadirigam Institute. And so I wanted to create a separate institute back then when I was serving at Kadirigam. So it happened, actually Karunasena Hettiarachchi was the secretary at that time who had a sort of vision to create this. And I'm very happy that because he took the cabinet paper to, as well as formulating it. And the president at that time was Maithripala Sirisena, who created it. So if you look at it, in India, you have IDSA, for example, Institute of Defense Studies Analysis. In the United States, you have RAND Corporation. So you have many, countries do defense research and national security research. When it comes to national security, it's not only about defense, it's about non-traditional securities such as, climate change, be it, health security, so to many other areas. And we need to do research. It's very important as a country that we do research on these areas. Yeah, so in 2016, so I was invited by Maithripala Sirisena to become the Director General. And so I took the position and the challenge to create and as the founding Director General to start the institute. Yeah.
And did after you commenced the institute, did you all compare security operations in other countries, see where we could improve as well? Was that one of the focus areas of your institute?
Yes, we had strong links with other security think tanks. And what we did was, so basically, back then when I was at Kadirigam Institute, we had, I created 13 MOUs with other security think tanks as well as foreign policy think tanks. So it's a matter of sort of, just continuing the work that I've been doing, but in the security and assisting the Triforces, so we had members of the Triforces in our institute. We had it was a very, I would say, a very high and the board, which is with the Army Commander, Navy, Air Force, Rifles Commander, Chief of Defense Staff. So we had, I mean, a distinguished board, and the president was the president of the institute, and so the Secretary of Defense was the chairman of the institute, and so we work with multiple security think tanks, comparing research notes. I've been to to India, to China, to many other places, and also the security conferences which I normally attend, such as the Shangri-La Dialogue every year. So even before, back then from Kadegam Institute, these are very important, security dialogues, so that Sri Lanka, we were going as a, for the first time with the establishment of the institute. So we managed to produce our first journal, the institute's journal, in about a year's time, the defense review of the institute, and those are huge achievements. And we had a brilliant team of researchers, and so research assistants as well as analysts. So so that's was the beginning.
So shifting to 2019, Asanga, was there any point, a situation where your institute or these officers who are involved with your institute, was there a situation where they were alerted by any other country or any other institution even of a possible terror attack in Sri Lanka?
No, we did not have information from another country, but we had we compiled 3 reports. Those are called monthly threat forecasts, which I compile as the director. Looking at one of our mandates was to scan the security threats to the country, and to identify if there's any prominent security threats that we see. And so in 2017, there was 2 reports, monthly threat forecast, clearly highlighting there is a significant buildup of extremist threat coming into the country. Then
this was in 2017. This is 2 years before the attacks.
Yes, 2017 March was the first report. 2017 October was the second report. Then the last one was on 2019 January. That was a few months before the attack. Clearly highlighting after the detonators were found in Vanathaville, saying that there's a significant national security threat to the country, and immediately asking the president as well as the Secretary of Defense that time to find external links of this group.
And just to be clear, at that time, the Secretary of Defense was Hemasiri Fernando, right?
These reports are compiled to President's eyes only. So, but Secretary of Defense would brief them. It was not me who I've even not, we didn't have access to the President brief, but it was the Secretary of Defense who would speak at the National Security Council or whenever he meets on those points, basically some of the threats. So the 2019 was to find out the external links and also the funding of this group. So that was the last report.
And what was the reaction of the President and the Defense Secretary to this report? I mean, was there an indication that they were going to act on this information that you gave them?
No, when you look at it from 2017, although the reports went, there was only one. So the usual channel of this is going to Secretary of Defense's office. There's a book that enters, and so it goes there to his desk. So after that, he would brief. I mean, from 2017, we haven't got any replies coming in. I mean, of any of these reports. On the 2017 October, there was a reply. There was, I mean, Secretary of Defense back then was Kapila Vaidyaratna, and so he mentioned to see ASAP, see me ASAP, just next to the, the place where I've written about the extremist threat. So this was on 2017 October. And when I met the secretary at that time, he mentioned something. I mean, it's nothing related to the extremist threat, but about keeping the institute going. And he said that it's been very difficult to keep the institute going, and he's having a lot of challenges to keep the institute. So that's all that he spoke about with me, but nothing about the extremist threat.
But that was, in a way, would you say, a sort of a warning to you? Look, we might have to shut down because of certain information that you have revealed in your report.
No, I saw it as, I mean, we were giving multiple reports. We were speaking at, there was an extremist discussion. There was a live recording, which I submitted to the commission also, where we even speak about, setting up check-in systems to the hotels. Because, terrorists could even check in and, detonate themselves. So this was spoken in 2017. So we had multiple occasions talking, even when the Bangladesh attack was there, we were looking at possibilities of a Sri Lankan attack. We were looking at all these things. But unfortunately, they were not considered as significant priorities or importance. So the priority level was not given. Yeah, so you could put it that way. I mean, how he looked at why the way he mentioned it is that it's very hard for him to keep the institute going. Yeah, so probably because this was the first civilian outfit, a civilian military outfit together, working together, which is actually, I mean, which Sri Lanka lacks. We didn't have civilian military establishments like this, and I saw it as a huge achievement when we interacted, when we spoke, because the military mindset as well as the civilian mindset, our analysts, how we see, defense certain agreements are quite different to the military, way of looking. So for me, it was a huge achievement having this, institute as well as working with these multiple challenges. And also, we were assigned on the national defense policy to create Sri Lanka's national defense policy with a group of Triforces officers. And so there was immense contribution from the Triforces for the national defense policy from 2017. So where the present army commander was also in one group, like from General of the they contributed immensely. I think it worked really well, the model. And so when we compiled the report finally, and we managed to even get approval, cabinet approval, which is, I think, a huge achievement as a country in South Asia to have a national defense policy. So this was in 2019, November 11th, when we got the approval from the cabinet of Sri Lanka. But unfortunately, the document is locked up, and so they're not sharing. This was to be shared with the general public because this was declassified.
Was there specific information on your findings or in your report, Asanga, that such and such an individual, I mean, for example, Zahran Hashim and Tawfiq Jamaat, that these people were the ones who were likely to carry out something like what we saw eventually on Easter Sunday in 2019?
No, there was no specific reference to the names. There was no names, but there was reference to the detonator incident and also mentioning to this particular group to find out immediate external links, but not specifically mentioning the names. But so obviously we are talking about the this particular group who is involved. So yeah, so it's clearly a threat that we saw, and but I think there was heavy politicization of intelligence information also, so which is very sad. I mean, you can see from the statements coming out from at the Presidential Commission report by the head of SIS saying that Indian information is just intelligence is just information only and not even intelligence. I disagree. There were intelligence. There were serious warnings. Had I seen any of those reports which came from India, starting from the first week of April, just before the attacks, had I seen any of them, I would compare notes immediately and see it as a serious threat. But I did not see. I was not. They were not shared. So the access to the information that at the senior level what they had was never shared. This was very sad. At least some sort of indication there is a warning like that. I mean, this even at the commission, the respected judges were asking me, "What if you had seen it?" Yeah, of course. I mean, it tallies with everything what we have written and immediate. It would be an alert. But if you look at it, we are very sad. I mean, I was present when the India-Sri Lanka defense dialogue was going on the 8th of April in 2019. But we did not even have the extremism threat as an agenda, or not on the agenda. So it was about fishermen's issues or various other stuff. But these were absent from the agenda while the threat warnings were going on, and in the backdrop. So we should have saved all those lives. I mean, the external forces were not looked at. We would have. I mean, the data was raw. I mean, we've not analyzed any of this information. Unfortunately, the problem of Sri Lanka is the lack of analysis of any of this information, and multiple systemic, I would say, inside multiple failures within the system. So it's quite sad that we lost, all those lives. And I happened to see them. I was a direct victim, because when I went to the Shangri-La during at that particular time, and I was when the bomb blast actually happened, and my kids and my wife actually saw. So it's tremendous, even trauma with my kid for almost a year of seeing those horrific images, and also the memory that they have. So it's something that yeah, so it's unfortunate that it all happened.
What went through your mind? I mean, for someone who actually saw this and who may have ended up losing even, I mean, I should say this to a family member as a result of these attacks. What went through your mind, thinking that this is something that could have been avoided, but was not?
I was hurt. I was angry. I was when President Sirisena came soon after the bomb blast to the ministry and gave a speech saying that we could look into national security much more, as well as there are serious. I mean, these bombs have gone, and we can. I was hurt because I was the victim. I saw this mother who was searching for the child. I saw all that. I was there. So this lifeless body that has been carried, and all that. So I spoke when the president was there. So at that time, I everybody was present at that meeting, and I said, you cannot handle, why didn't you see the pre-warnings that we sent in January as well as so he immediately called me at that particular meeting. He called me to the National Security Council. That was my first invitation, which I got to the National Security Council. So I went and presented at the National Security Council all the reports. So prior to that, going to the National Security Council, we had another private meeting. He called me to his office, and he wanted to speak about my reports. So I showed him the reports, and I said that these are the reports we compiled, and multiple warnings have been written as well as in 2019. Didn't you see? And he said, no, these people are not showing me these things. He was very upset, and he was saying that one secretary was, this is the exact words he said. He was he didn't. I mean, he was questioning about their conduct as well as he said, why are these people? Is this a retirement job? He asked me. Why are they not doing their job properly? And so I was very disappointed because the reports were compiled. It was through his eyes only, and then he was questioning about, why hasn't it been shown to him? So at the National Security Council meeting, so I presented, the first paper I presented was in ITAC, the Integrated Threat Assessment Center, an immediate setup of ITAC, because I saw multiple lack of communications between the seniors, between the intelligence agencies, GMI, SIS. So immediate recommendation, which the paper was presented, saying that set up ITAC, Integrated Threat Assessment Center, immediately, because you need to communicate that, not in multiple stovepipes, but, get onto one, one layer. And and also the threat forecast that we have written, at least to, have some sort of discussion about it, or, talk about these areas and pay much more attention and think of the larger picture, because geopolitics has been completely ignored. I mean, you're not only looking at external forces. To carry out an attack like this, you need funding. You need a large external hand. You see, a group cannot, just can't go and commit suicide like that at the hotels and all that. You just can't do it. This is a proper coordinated attack with assistance coming from external, also from internal. They've not looked at it. Now, these commissions collect all these reports. I mean, I told this commission also, you collect large amounts of evidence, reports. Who does the analysis? I mean, I don't think even this commission had time to do analysis. Just quickly compiling a report. We mentioned about, for example, we mentioned about a particular country. I mean, Singapore's, there is different, counterterrorism acts, sedition acts, harmony. These are there, but then we did not say that, to bring the whole thing into the book. Now, what the commission has done is they have copied the entire thing into the book as annexures. So this is the issue of the country. I mean, although we mentioned several countries, you look at these things, best practices, etc. But but unfortunately, I cannot be happy with the existing commission report, because they mentioned about, I've given a 13-page statement on all these areas. They mentioned about one particular thing about a negligence story, which is because after my threat forecast in 2019 January, so there's communication. between me and SIS director, and the director says that, why are you even chasing the extremist threat? I mean, he asked, he put it in a way that, why are you chasing that? And why not? And so and then he said that this is the narrative of the president. So if but subsequently after the blast, when I asked the president, did you say something like this? He said no. He would never say something like that. So can you see? I mean, there is a. I mean, you can. That's why I mentioned that in the bureaucratic level, there is bureaucratic inertia clearly. At the higher level, there is systemic failures coming in. The assessments. I mean, why would you not chase the extremism agenda? We want.
I just want to go back, Asanga. So from 2017, when you found that there was no responses to some of your reports, did you make an attempt to maybe reach out directly to the president or even to the prime minister and alert them that something like this was actually taking place?
Yeah. So what we did was that we had multiple programs. We did speak about it as internal programs. That's why I submitted a recording of the program. I mean, in the program itself, we connected a person from the eastern province asking what exactly is happening on the ground. We are trying to capture here, but something kept us away. I mean, they were saying like, why are you even chasing extremism? Why are you chasing this? I mean, my question was, it was not on the radar. I mean, this is the problem. It was not, they didn't make it a priority.
And why is that? Why do you think? I mean, do you think they had other more pressing issues in the country? You mentioned earlier that, the whole system seemed to have been politicized as well. I mean, what did they have to gain by just ignoring this serious threat?
I mean, look, the country was going through, I mean, there was constitutional coups, there was assassination attempts to Maitripala, multiple, and defense agreements, seeing it as national security threats. For example, so far the AXA, the US agreements, Chinese, I mean, there's multiple of it. But then most of them are rubbish because, I mean, AXA, we went through the entire so far. So we went through all that. We have given observations as researchers. But the problem is, we are given observations to the foreign ministry very clearly. These are the areas, and there is no national security threat. Then why are you projecting something that is not there? There is no threat. I mean, there is no threats from getting into certain agreement. And so the ultra nationalists who wanted to take a political advantage was blowing it up out of proportion, saying that this is a national security threat, huge issue. The MCC, for example, no national security threat. There was no corridors being built. They were all politicized, and most of them were politicized, and they took it to their own advantage. And so for us, I mean, we felt very sad because our analysis was very independent. We did not take, particular country-specific, agendas. We took our own national interest when we compiled the national defense policy, when we compiled all that. So, and I get a letter after this was after the attack, as well as several months after that. I get a letter to immediately transferred to Germany as minister counselor, not even as ambassador or deputy, but as counselor. And so this is how the function. That's why I said there is a serious systemic problem. And when I got the approval, from this cabinet, which is this particular government cabinet, by Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and then saying, get the medicals, get the stuff. It was started from the last government. It got approved from this government, so I end up, giving my seat. I said, vacate your seat to Dr. Colombage, Foreign Secretary, and for me to go to Germany. And so while Colombage comes to my seat, and I end up not going to Germany, but I don't. I mean, some people think that I want a job, and I'm speaking. I don't want, because I've been working as a consultant. I'm right now in the US. I'm doing, with my book, and I have enough of work. It's not that
So
seeking a job.
you didn't accept the position in Germany, is it?
No, I did accept. And so what happened was I got a letter, the cabinet letter, which was sent to me by the Ministry of Defense. And so when I got the letter, I went for the medicals and I went for the security clearance was given by the intelligence. And when I went to meet on this particular matter, so nothing happened for about a month. I mean, I got the approval in January. So I met the Prime Minister at his residence. And when he saw the paper and he said, this is illegal. How can the Director General go as the counselor or minister? And he would never do such things. And it was done by them, he said. He did not mention who. He said they did it. And then he said, you should go and meet Dinesh Gunawardena, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So I went to meet the Minister of Foreign Affairs at his office. He said again the same thing. He said, this is illegal. Director General cannot go as the Minister Counselor. And he, as the Foreign Minister, does not know about this appointment. And he was very upset that he didn't know about it. Then he told me to meet Dr. Kolambage immediately. So I met Dr. Kolambage. When I met him, he said he has 13 people on a list of names who are politically appointed. And he said, your matter is already approved by the cabinet. He just needs a phone call from the president. Yeah, so I just left it there. I mean, I did speak to the president's secretary for an appointment, but then I never got that appointment, but then I left it there. So, and this is how the country functions, unfortunately. So, yeah, so that was the whole thing. So what we did, the post-attack analysis, collecting information from Germany, from US, from multiple locations. How did this attack happen? What was the delay even in declaring that it was done by ISIS? About 3 days after the attack, they declared. I mean, so right now, I mean, I heard what Cardinal was speaking about, someone from inside calling the ISIS cell asking for, to take the claim. And that's a serious, comment that he has mentioned about an intelligence officer speaking to Indonesia after the attack to take the claim. This is serious. So one scholar actually did mention why is the delay in taking the claim. So another one was very clear, and I strongly believe that your country was staged. They were looking for a location. They picked this out of many. So this was from a German an expert. So we were looking at this issue, trying to figure out where it is coming, where the external links. But everything stopped. And yeah, so this was very unfortunate.
Since we are running out of time, Asanga, I just want to fast forward a wee bit. Clearly, a lot of information has been disregarded. But do you see that information that you gave back then being taken seriously, at least even now?
No, Easwaran. I mean, I gave an interview a few weeks ago, to Sinhalese, journalist, Chamudita. Even that video is not there. It's been removed. So there is significant. There is self-censorship going on, clearly. But what I disclosed was for the people to understand what's going on in here. And no, they're not being given a priority back then. They're not given a priority now. If the priority was given, a national defense policy will be disclosed to the people, which was declassified and sent to the cabinet. It is stuck at in the cabinet. No, unfortunately, it's not. I don't think that I don't see any positive signs in this.
So you would say that national security is not as secure as some claim?
No, national security was the subject which was at the elections. Then after the Easter Sunday, the people, national security was the political agenda. And so people actually voted for national security. And what you see is, no, I mean, clearly, I don't see any improvement in the national security. It's that, you know, some have benefited out of it, but some, you know, want justice from, some wants the truth. What are the external, the same questions that, I mean, the cardinals are asking, some of the very relevant questions. Where is the external links? Where is it? I mean, what we were doing was we were finding it out, and then and this was the sad part, because you have the information, you have enough of stuff, I mean, evidence given by so many, so the analysis part is the missing part. And but unfortunately, you know, a lot of things are politicized. I presented a model called the STAR model, which to the commission, which means how to check how much of intelligence information is politicized. STAR stands for system, timeline, resources, reevaluation. So all those, what we did was we gave, you know, modified staple scales like values to each of it, and we've tried to find out how much of the Easter Sunday information was politicized. We ended up with a +8, that means close to 10, which means it's heavy politicization. We've done this the same model was applied to 9/11, various other attacks, post-attacks. So when there's heavy politicization and the country's political establishment does not support independent observation, independent analysis, independent commissions, so I don't see that, you know, that our people will not find or will not know, or anybody would even, you know, go to jail for, you know, negligence or whatever. So this is far. I mean, this is far, unfortunately. Yeah, so maybe in about 10 years or 20 years that we would know exactly what was the motives and what, why did it happen. There was a shift, Easwaran, clearly. I mean, Buddhist, from Buddhist targets to the Christians. So there are multiple areas. There was like, you know, of concerns in the country. So, I mean, some are pointing fingers to India directly. No, I think we should not do that. We should not point fingers to, you know, countries. Some of us higher up leaders also. I mean, they've already made up their conclusions, and this is the particular country. No, you cannot do that. I mean, the analysis has to be done really well before, yeah, because that's why I mentioned the countries use different proxies. So you have to be, Sri Lanka is a geopolitically strategic, important country. So our people should understand. My book, The Conundrum of Island, speaks about it, but so about the importance of it, of geopolitical importance. So it's important that we look at all these, you know, multiple layers of security threats.
Right, Asanga, I'm afraid I'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for joining us on this program and for your insight into the incidents that happened on these Sunday attacks. So that's all the time we have for you on this program. Do join us again next time for more on Fire.
Thank you, Easwaran. Thank you so much.